Hello everyone, my name is Oktay and today we are going to talk about some suprasegmental features of the English language. So this is our last week in this course. So just because it's the last week, it's kind of easier this week uh, in comparison to other weeks that we have done. So what we're going to talk about today is that we're going to talk about what is a suprasegmental feature. We are going to look at the effects of the suprasegmental features effects on our intelligibility. And we are going to look at some of those suprasegmental features like stress, intonation, or linking words. So in order to start, we can start with what is a suprasegmental feature. So what is a super segmental feature is that we can say, I mean, it's not like what we have learned throughout our previous weeks. Like it's not like how should I say vowels or consonants. It's not something personal, something small scale like that. It's a big scale thing. By super segmental features, we mean like those things that we learned, how do they affect our, how should I say, general day-to-day speaking, how they affect the bigger picture. So segmental features are like that, like stressing or pausing or intonation or linking words. So how do these things, how do these stress or intonation or linking words or pausing can affect our intelligibility? Well, most academic people uh, in the English language don't really come up to a, how should I say, a full, like, full on idea that they don't all agree, I should say, that's better. They don't all agree that suprasegmental features really affect our intelligibility, but our course decided that it does affect our intelligibility, and I also think it does too. For example, as you can see from the example here, when we say present, when we stress those words in different parts of the word, it might mean something different. It can be a noun or it can be a verb, depending what where do you put your stress in. For example, as we can see from here, the stress was put on the sent. So you say present. It means like presenting someone something. It's like showing someone something. But if you were to put the stress on pre, when we say present, no, sorry, present, it means something like giving, like a gift. It means a gift. So things like this can really affect your intelligibility, of course. It might make some misunderstandings between you or between you and some other person. So these things can, yes, affect your intelligibility, but these things also can add to your identity. Things like this, pronunciations like this, can really add into your identity and make you unique. But it can also affect your credibility more or less. You know, the now I think of it, the word I use, it can affect your credibility more or less. When I say more or less, I kind of stop in between more or less, right? This is also a super segmental feature that we use. It's stopping. I could have said it could also affect your credibility more or less. You know, I didn't stop in more or less in this example. You know, things like this can really change the meaning of what you're trying to say. You know, so if you were to look at some of these super segmental features, we can start with the stress. Uh, so what the stress is, that's not the stress that we live throughout our days. It's the stress that we put on our words. So what do we mean by that is that we highlight our words by using extra breath. You know, I use stress by example, by, exempling, sorry, not the word, when I say, and I try to explain you. Yeah, that's the word. Explain you the stress. I use stress in order to explain you the stress. So we can look at some of the examples of stress. So if you were to look at the left side, we can see the blue highlighted letters are the ones that with stress. So before we start with the pronunciation of those things, we should ask ourselves, is there a way that we can understand in a word that we have never used? Like, how do we know where we're going to put the stress in? Well, unfortunately, English is kind of bad in that way. What you can do is that you need to hear the sounds, hear the words, and you need to memorize the stresses. There's not a particular way you can determine where you can put the stress or not. So it can be a little challenging for beginners of the English language, but after a while you get used to it and you don't even notice after a while. So starting with the pronunciations, you can try to pronounce them if you like before me. I'm going to read them correctly, as correctly as I can, or should I say. So I'm starting. So we use stress as like reality, ability, anxiety, variety, society, capacity, continuity, possibility, technicality, necessity, inferiority, superiority, ambiguity, quality, or equality. As you can see, when you stress those words, you use more and more breath, you know, you highlight what you're trying to say, you indicate what you're trying to say. But as you can see from the example on the right, the stress can also be used in order to differentiate nouns and verbs. If you remember the example, the present example that I gave in the beginning of the presentation, we have present like here. As you can see, when you put the stress on pre, it becomes present. Or when you say present, it becomes a verb. If you say present, it becomes a noun. You know, changing up the stress can really differentiate your meaning, and it can really affect your intelligibility like that. So if we were to continue with the other suprasegmental features, we can look at intonation. As you can understand from the name, intonation, we talk about the tone of our voices. So what we do here is that we change the pitch of our voices in order to indicate what we are trying to say. For example, we change our tones, like we go down, we go up, or we stay completely in the middle. So there are patterns to it, right? So these patterns are not the same for every person. It can change, it can differ from person to person because the way they speak might differ from you. So, but in general, we can give three patterns that we can hear almost anywhere. So we have mid-level, rise and fall, and low and rise. So we use mid-level in making statements and announcements, and we use rise and fall in order to make a point, or in order to, in an argument, in order to have a point, make a point. And we use low rise in order to use in skeptic situations. We use it in order to ask questions. So as an example of that, an example for the mid-level, we could say, you can hear my voice being completely still, not going up and down. So I'm going to start now. We'll start again in half an hour. You know, when I said that, it kind of goes up and down, right? A little bit, just a little bit. But when you use mid-level, we'll start again in half an hour. When you say like that, it starts at the same line and it ends at the same line, you know, as you can understand from the dots from here. So it's completely still, it's completely not like one line, and it's like a monotone voice that you can use in your daily life. People might not like that, and you can just use it in order to make statements or announcements. In order to give an example on the rise and fall one, we use the rise and fall pattern, in order to make a point in our arguments. So you should read it as like, it's true because I say so. When I say so, you can kind of understand. You can hear that say starts with the top line and it goes to the bottom line, right? Say so, say so. So you use that in order to gain authority on people, in order to make a point in arguments. So people, when you use this kind of pattern, people might not like you. So in order to give an example for the low rise, you can hear that, do you? No, like, do you? Or another example like, oh really? Or for real? You can hear that my voice starts on a lower pitch and it goes up. So you use this kind of low rise pattern in order to ask a question, in order to be skeptic about something. Oh, you do really? You ask someone when you don't believe them, oh, you really? You do that? You ask them kind of questions like that, or you actually ask questions like, do you? So you can use them, you can hear those, you can see and hear those patterns in your day-to-day life. So that's what intonation is, basically. Another suprasegmental feature that we are going to look now is that it's the linking. So what's linking is that we link our words. We don't pronounce each and every word, in their own separate ways. We kind of link them. As an example of that, we can give these examples. For example, we don't say an egg when we speak. We say an egg, right? You don't completely, you pronounce it, but for example, the N here, you add it to the egg. So you say an egg, right? Another example like fall in. You don't say fall in, you say fall in. You don't say give up, you say give up. You don't say an old dog, you say an old dog. You don't say not at all, you say not at all. These are some suprasegmental features that we use in our day-to-day life without noticing. So thank you for listening. This was the week 4, and the whole MOOC course was really great. It made me realize how much I didn't know in the English language, but thankfully I know them now, and thankfully you know them now, and hopefully we can meet at some other thing. So thank you for listening. Thank you for listening all of my presentations. So hope I can see you in somewhere else next time. Bye-bye.